Hi, I'm Jim Ransom. I teach the Saturday morning wheel throwing class. I also have taught musical clay and using the spray, airbrush and spray on the pots. But today I'm going to focus on the wheel throwing. The Saturday wheel class is a fairly diverse group. I have everybody from people that have never taken a class before that are just learning the ABCs to people that are fairly advanced and want some more advanced techniques. So what I try to do is talk to each person at the beginning of my class, find out what their individual goals are, then try and make sure that I'm attending to what they want to do and helping them accomplish what they want to do during the semester. For instance, a person might say, well, I just want the ABCs. That's a beginner. Somebody says, well, I can make a bowl, but I want to make a bigger bowl, or I want to make a pot that's taller, or I want to make a certain shape. Another thing I like to demonstrate is the forces that are at work when you're throwing a pot. This is a cylinder I threw earlier, and I'm fastening the side. I have a tool here with just a little metal cutting blade, and I'm going to remove facets on the side of the pot. I've done this all the way around, as you can see. What happens is when you're pushing on a pot, it's actually causing friction and the pot is actually twisting. And this is a good way of demonstrating what happens when that occurs. So I have the pot, I'm going to start pushing with a rib on the inside. As you can see, those vertical lines have now become a twist. So it twists from this point here up to here. So that's again just a way of providing a surface which is interesting for to look at, but also gives the glazes something to interact with. And it's a way of demonstrating what's happening as you push on the sides of the twist that's actually occurring. One of the things that we emphasize in my class is glazing principles and techniques. And this is a chance for me to show some of the different techniques that I've used on some of my work. This, for instance, is a growler. This piece was sprayed with two different glazes, and then glaze was just splashed on the surface to give it kind of a break in the look. This piece was also sprayed in a single color. The color is a Japanese glaze called Timiku. The Timiku glaze will break, so you can see there's light and dark brown areas on the pot. This glaze pot was glazed using a brush for the upper surface and the bird, and the lower areas were then sprayed. This was masked off during the spraying in order to give me the nice break. This happens to be a whistling water jar, so if water's put in here and tipped, this bird will whistle. That's one of the things we talk about when I do my musical clay. For instance, this is an ocarina made in the musical clay, as is the fish. This pot right here was dipped. I held it. You can actually see finger marks on here where I held the pot while I dipped it in the glaze. I kind of find that it's a nice thing. It leaves the handprint on this that it was made by hand. You know, I owe my pottery history to really my brother. My brother was who was younger than me, was a prodigy in high school. And throughout high school, while I was late in high school and then going to college, he kept saying, you gotta try clay, you'll really like it. And I kept saying, no, this is your thing. I don't want to do that because, you know, you're already so good. He said, no, you really gotta try it. So finally he gave me a piece of clay and let me play with it a little bit. And by the time I was through, I said, why didn't you tell me about this a long time ago? I just found an immediate connection. That was over 40 years ago. And during that time, I took some classes, got a little bit of experience that way, ended up having a wheel and a kiln in my house, but things change, families come, so I stopped working in clay for about 14 or 15 years, just once in a while throwing a pot out in the garage, and then was reintroduced to clay at the Salem Art Association when they had the Visual Arts Center on 12th Street. I took a class there thinking I would probably need something to brush up, and I found by halfway through the class that I was probably as capable of throwing a pot as the person that was instructing the class. In fact, I took the class twice, and during the second class he said, "I can't be here next week, would you cover the class for me?" And that led to being asked if I would be willing to teach a class. So I started teaching Saturday wheel at the Visual Arts Center. When the Visual Arts Center closed and we opened the Willamette Arts Center, I continued that practice of having the Saturday wheel class. So I've been teaching this class for probably 15, 16 years. So it's become a well-worn path for me. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy the students, and we have a lot of fun, a little bit irreverent, but that's okay. Students in my class will say that I have several gymisms, which are just things I tell people to do as far as pushing the pot or certain terminology that I like to use, but it just kind of makes for more camaraderie during the class sessions. So I hope you enjoyed this little segment, and we look forward to seeing you in class.